Hi, and welcome to another edition of the Digital Arts Show. I'm Jim Sirianni, your host with the most, and this is very exciting because this is our first interview internationally, all the way from Amsterdam. This show is part of the Digital Arts Festival that is produced by Center Stage Theater here in Santa Barbara. The Digital Arts Festival streams nightly at 7 p.m. now through April 30th. And you can find out more on the Center Stage website, centerstagetheater.org, and click on the blog tab in the upper right-hand corner. Again, that's centerstagetheater.org, and click on the blog tab. The purpose of the Digital Arts Festival is to create an outlet for artists of all kinds to share their work. Because of the quarantine, many artists and performers suddenly found themselves with no way to show their work or to perform. And in some cases, unfortunately, the work that some of these artists and performers have done may never be seen by the public, unless perhaps on video, but maybe not in the public forum. So in an effort to find some sort of workaround, if you will, the Digital Arts Festival was created by Center Stage Theater to help artists and performers connect with their audiences virtually. So we'll have dance, theater, music, film, visual arts, poetry, storytelling, and much more. And again, you can learn more on the Center Stage website, centerstagetheater.org, and click on the blog tab. Today's guest is Rebecca. And Rebecca, forgive me for, how do you pronounce your last name?
So my last name is Lillich-Kruger. I have two last names.
Lillich-Kruger.
Mm-hmm.
Rebecca Lillich-Kruger. And Rebecca, as I mentioned, is in Amsterdam. She is a performance artist based there. She is currently working alongside Comport Records and DJ producer Dansor to create a series of immersive nightlife performances starting back in February of just this year. She has collaborated on work for Amsterdam's Media College and with 3120 Dance Initiative, a collective supporting freelancers in Amsterdam. Born in Germany and raised in Syracuse, New York, she received her BFA from Alonzo King Lines Ballet and her MFA from Hollins University in Roanoke, Virginia, and studied in Frankfurt, Germany. So it's very international, very much all over the world. Welcome to the show, Rebecca. I'm so excited to talk with you today and learn more about your work.
Yeah, super. Thank you for having me. Thanks very much.
It's my pleasure. And so to begin, tell us a little bit about your background and the path you have taken to where you are now in your artistic career.
Yeah, super. So in reading my bio, you gave a pretty good summary of it, but I grew up in a theater and humanities family. My mom is a costume designer, and my brother is now in acting. That influenced me quite a lot. And I was training in classical ballet up to the point I was about 17. I moved out to San Francisco to train with Alonzo King Lines Ballet, which was really a fabulous experience in that it opened me up to different experiences of performance and different takes on ballet itself. And while I love California, I knew it wasn't going to be someplace I could stay for a longer period of time, although I always hoped to return. And getting my master's was the next step in kind of questioning what performance can be, what are the different modalities of performance, what is possible. And Hollins University was just such a fabulous program and really questions a lot of what we take for granted in performance.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. So as I mentioned, you are our first international participant. How did you hear about our festival?
Yeah, definitely. So I attended Hollins University with Meredith Cabanis of Sela Dance, which is based in Santa Barbara. And I've always had a good connection with Meredith, and we've attempted to find ways to work together through the years. But obviously, we're very, very far apart now. So we've just stayed in contact, and she's really, every time there is kind of an opportunity or something, she's always contacting me, which I very much appreciate.
Nice, nice. So that's the connection there. Okay. We were wondering, so we had to ask that question. Tell us about the immersive nightclub performances you are working on. This sounds really interesting, especially someone like me who, grew up with, going to clubs when I was in my 20s a long time ago.
Yeah. No, certainly. And I think that's why it's so interesting to me, because there is kind of this like youthful excitement to it. And I know for myself, coming out of concert dance and stage dance, I'm very tired and exhausted of that environment in certain ways. And I was also in San Francisco, I was like out, like going out into these warehouse clubs, having an amazing time, and experiences I wasn't having in the stage environment. And I was really questioning that a lot in graduate school, and in deciding to move to Europe, I spent a lot of time in Germany with my family and in Berlin going out. And I was like, what is it about these environments that provide me with a sense of aliveness and liberation that I lack in a stage atmosphere? And last summer in Berlin, I had gone to a couple workshops at B12, which is a dance festival that happens there. And they did an immersive nightlife performance in Trauma Bar and Kino, which is a art collective nightclub there, and two choreographers, Ania Catherine and Judith Sanchez. Judith Sanchez. They did a double bill immersive performance within this nightclub, and that just rocked my world. Like, it was just a very well thought out take on how performance can be experienced. And it was definitely something I wanted to get into. It was definitely like, okay, this is different. Like, it's immersive. It's in a space where everyone feels comfortable. Everyone feels free that they can be part of something, they can engage, and they're already open and willing to be there. It's not exclusionary. And so I was put in contact with a DJ, Dansor, who's now my good friend, Annette. And she was very interested and willing to do this with her record label, Comport Records. And so we decided to do this series of performances. So we started in February 22nd at Ryhord, which is a arts commune here, and they have a church that they use as a nightclub. And we put on 8 scenes of immersive performance there, and it was exceptional. But now everything has kind of been stalled, and
Right.
we're not able to continue.
Oh, that's too bad. Now, give us an example of some of the immersive performances. Do you have like maybe one example to share with our audience?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's very tricky because you're choreographing for something you cannot anticipate, which is very, very exciting. We cannot anticipate what the musicians are going to be playing. We cannot anticipate how the crowd is going to be acting at all, at what point in the night things are happening. So it's very improvisational in a sense that many performances I've been involved with in the past are not. And so I crafted a series of 8 duets, because it was also, the evening was figured around the idea of duality and binary themes. So
Gotcha.
Duets.
Right.
And so for one of them, I created these mirror masks where I took round mirrors from a dollar store. My mom helped me strap them to some scuba masks, and it creates this illusion of kind of like a stick figure with a mirror face. And
Oh,
yeah.
I saw the picture of that, and now, okay, now that you explain it, now I see what that is. Okay.
Yeah, and the dancers obviously hated me because they can't see what they're doing, and it's loud and everything around them. But it creates this really weird, magical thing where there are these beings sitting next to the audience, and the people who are like partying can see themselves in the
Ah,
performers, literally. And there's a lot of play where they're like drawing on the mirrors and trying to draw faces on each other, but they can't see. So it's like this weird, surrealistic, like happening with lipstick, and they're like smudging it. So and then people start interacting with them, and this is just
right.
like very, it's exciting because there's so much you can't anticipate. But that is one example of
Oh, that's really cool. So the people attending, the patrons of the nightclub, or wherever the venue is, they might be drawing on the mirrors themselves,
uh,
or would they be putting stuff on the mirror?
yeah, so like a part of it, for example, is I would introduce a lipstick. So there was a point where I came over and I kissed each of the mirrors, giving them mouths. And
Oh,
then
okay.
there was an attempt where they had lipsticks themselves and they were trying to draw, and then people might come in and like try and do it for them and help them to like complete this kind of face. Um, and
That's really cool. That
yeah,
is
and
really a cool idea, concept.
yeah, a lot of things happened throughout all the duets where there, we had like props and there were kind of invitations gradually for people to be involved. And so this is, you know, it's something I crave in performance.
Right. So, tell us, Rebecca, how is the current crisis impacting Amsterdam? Here, we are in full shutdown mode. How are you all dealing with it there?
Yeah, I mean, it was very, very sudden here. I also work with 3120 Dance Initiative, and I happen to work with a lot of Italian dancers. And they were really the first who were saying, this is an issue, and the Dutch government isn't taking it seriously because their families were so impacted. And also, as an organizer, is like, what do you do when performers don't want to come to rehearsal? And it took still like a week for the Dutch government to really get into action. And within 3 days, everything was shut down. All of our performances were canceled, no events. After that, restaurants and cafes were closed, most stores shut down. And so the first 2 weeks were very intense. In general, it's now much better. It's beautiful weather, which helps, but we're free to go as we please. There are fines if you're too close to one another, but parks are open. And I do appreciate the Dutch government has been very good about communicating with us and saying, look, we want you to be able to come and go as you please, but this is also contingent on people staying safe and taking care of one another, and it's a social responsibility.
Right. But you said that the government there, they do fine you if you're too close to one another?
Yeah. So I've heard like, obviously I'm a great citizen, so this is not my problem, but like I've heard of people in the park who are uh, like fooling around or like shoving each other around or holding hands and stuff who are obviously not in the same family, and they will receive a fine.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. But yeah, so very, kind of a little bit similar here. I haven't heard about fines yet in our area, but yeah, it's pretty much it's pretty much locked down everywhere then. So tell us about your creative process in general. How, when you're thinking of a piece, take us through the whole, from beginning to end. How does it all come together?
Yeah, certainly. Again, mentioning going all the way back to my relationship with my mother, I had to realize going through grad school and being asked to create so much that I am very costume oriented. And so I very much visualize clothing as essential to what the performance is. And I find I get so bothered in performance when costuming or clothing is an afterthought because it's so integral to what it's just part of it. And so I very much work from a visual image, and costuming very much helps me impart that theme. And so like, especially with Multiversum and this, I started with a lot of costuming ideas that centered around duality and doubling, like mirrors, metaphors and shit. And
That's okay.
yeah. And but I try not to let that force it too much. And then definitely I follow improvisational tasks. I'm very not interested in usually setting material and then putting a meaning on top of it. So I very much like to do a lot of improvisational research to try and find a physical environment that mimics what I'm trying to communicate, as opposed to telling the dancer what to communicate. But unfortunately, this takes a lot of time, and time is a very, very expensive commodity that I often do not have, which is
Right.
unfortunate. But you always aim for utopia. So
Right. Now, how has the quarantine or the shutdown affected your ability to create? Are you still trying to do some work even in quarantine, or how is that working out for you?
yeah, it's a struggle. It's an emotional struggle because so much of my patterning is about scheduling and being productive all the time. And my sense of self-worth is very tied to being busy all the time. So to not have that was at first like a massive dip. And there has been a huge push in the dance and arts community to keep things going, or to have classes digitally and performances digitally. And I very much stand behind this, but it also creates a huge amount of guilt in myself that I might not be engaging in it in the fullest. And so my partner, York, who creates alongside me, has been very good at just holding my hand and being like, you don't have to produce your most brilliant work now during this time. And I think what it is for me is that I also have like multiple passions. And so just because I don't, like right now, I don't feel an urge to be pushing the newest choreographic idea for myself. But like, for example, I'm really, really interested in spinning, and I spin my own yarn from wool I get from farms. And like, I just can't stop spinning. And so I'm trying to be like, you're still doing this very creative thing and you're still engaged. It's just a different medium.
Right, right. Now, once you spin the yarn, are you going to also either knit or crochet something like a huge Afghan or something?
I mean, possibly. I might just like make a slanket out of this, you know?
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, I haven't set any goals. I was thinking of trying to like sell some of it because I get wool for free from some farms here, which is like such a blessing because it's quite expensive when you buy it in stores. But I'm not really sure. I've been very open-ended about it. So
yeah. Now I have to ask, and I don't mind mentioning that I asked you about this before we started, but I have to ask you about the drawing in the background, because I liked the story that you shared with me earlier. And if you could tell us about the drawing behind you there.
yeah, absolutely. So my partner and I live in a Antekrak apartment, which in the Netherlands, they have a system. If a building's going to be demolished, they rent it out for very, very cheap for people. So it's very affordable, but you don't know when you'll be asked to move out is the condition. So he moved in here last December and thought he might have a month in it, and it's now been over a year later, so that's really lucky. But on my birthday, which I share with a very good friend here, we threw a party, and I was like, oh, how great, since the apartment is going to be demolished, if we have some like markers and paints and things so that our friends can like create some drawings for us and stuff. You know, the building's going to be gone anyway. And
Right.
so now we have all these lovely illustrations and
Oh my
doodles
gosh.
from our
Well,
friends.
I love that, and I love that you're able to use the building at least for a little while, and then so will you take a picture of that, or so that you can have a memory of it?
Oh, absolutely. We'll definitely take some photos. We have some from that night. And in all honesty, sometimes when I have like nerve-wracking phone calls, as I'm sure a lot of people are having now, I doodle on the wall continuously because that certainly helps deal with some
Right.
nerve.
Um, Now, Rebecca, you have a great line in your biography, and it's the line is through many doubts, she seeks to engage with work that dismantle singular paradigms in performance and invest in practices and communities that keep the heart beating. I love that quote. Can you expand on this idea and how it comes into practice in your own work?
Yeah, certainly. I think in general, like, I mean, not just Hollins, but graduate school definitely gave me a lot of language for better articulating what I find important in performance as a practice, and also why certain things do not work effectively for me. And as someone who is trained to be in concert dance, coming out of ballet, it was very important for me to have that language, you know, because I really don't like it when people say, oh, I don't like this, I like that. You know, that's just preference. But performance for me is about how something works to communicate a thought or idea. And for me, the current language I have around it is I really am disinterested in performance practices that are exclusionary to people. And it's why I currently have a bad relationship with a lot of stage dance, because it's massively exclusionary to people and does not communicate. It does not communicate well to people who are not part of that clique, I would say. And for me, in that sense, it's a failure. But for like, and you know, and so the part about doubt in my bio is, I think one of the reasons I stick with dance is because I don't like it so much. And this makes me
That's
good at
very
being
interesting.
critical about it. Yeah. And I think that's important. I think criticism and doubt is really important. And I had an English professor in high school who was Catholic. And, at some point we were reading, oh God, I can't even remember. But I asked him, I was just like, how can you be Catholic? There's so many bad things happening in the Catholic Church. How can you believe in God? And he just said to me, like, the reason I can still believe is because I have doubt, because I have space in my faith to have doubt against this thing. And as I continue to be able to question it, I know it will be there because I have space to do that. And so this is very much my
Wow.
relationship with dance.
Wow, it's very profound and very interesting. I like your take on the whole thing, and it sounds like you want dance to be a part of everybody's world, not just some people or a small portion of the community, but the entire community.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And segregation in
Hmm.
dance worlds and elitism is just really disappointing to me and sad. But,
Yeah,
we fight the good fight and we're still out here.
exactly. Keep fighting and keep dancing and keep doing everything that you do. So Rebecca, we're almost out of time, but before we go, do you have any websites or social media handles that you would like to give out to the audience?
Sure. I mean, so on Instagram, I am Rebecca_the_ambivert. I used to be Rebecca the introvert, but then a friend told me my personality had shifted halfway through college, so I had to switch it to ambivert, which I appreciate. I'm on Facebook as Rebecca Lillich. If you just want to, be friends and talk about art, that's always great to me. And I'm currently making a website, but a website is it's a lot of self-searching. You have to decide a lot of things about yourself, which is kind of difficult.
Right,
So
right.
that's a good
Very good.
exercise.
And again, just to make sure I have it correctly, so it's Instagram is at Rebecca_the_, and what was the last word?
Ambivert.
Ambivert.
Yeah.
Okay. And then Facebook, it's Rebecca Lillich on Facebook.
Yeah, just Rebecca Lillich, just my American name.
And the last name is Lillich.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, Rebecca, it was wonderful to get to know you and to visit with you all the way across internationally here. It's been very fun to do this. And I just want to wish you good success with everything you're doing. And hopefully once we come out of this this pandemic, you'll be able to create and do more of your work once all of this is over.
Yeah, super. Thank you so much. It was a really lovely conversation.
It's been my pleasure. And again, to learn more about these and other of the interviews that we're doing for Center Stage, you can go to Center Stage's website, centerstagetheater.org, and click on the blog tab. Again, that's centerstagetheater.org. Also, if you'd like to know what I'm up to, you can find me on Instagram at Jim on the Air, and also on Facebook at Jim on the Air. And because I have to be different on Twitter, it's at Jim on the Radio. I just want to thank everybody for joining us again for the interviews, and we'll catch you next time. Bye-bye, everybody.